Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest here with us tonight. 2006 first woman driver to run the Deary Brothers, the WDRL, World of Outlaws, and Lucas All Dirt Late Model Series events. In addition, she was the first woman to enter the prestigious Knoxville Late Model Nationals, running against most of the top national drivers, including Tony Stewart and Ken Schrader. Folks, welcome World of Outlaw Late Model driver Jill George.
Thank you, Slick. I really appreciate you guys having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Look, it's our pleasure to have you. Jill, can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and how you got started in racing? And if you got any interesting stories, we would love to hear it.
Well, I think I have an interesting story. I was dating my husband at the time. It's about 8 years ago, and I had never been to a dirt race or watched even NASCAR on TV. And he'd been involved with racing, never raced a race car, but just involved with it for probably his whole life. So he asked me one night if I was ready to go to the races, and I thought, oh, geez, this is, please don't tell me this is who I'm involved with, a race car driver or a guy that likes to go to the dirt races. And it's really because I knew nothing about it. I didn't grow up. Racing was not in my family, and like I said, before 8 years ago, I'd never even seen a race on TV. So didn't really know anything about it, and I had an opinion that was wrong. Went to the races that night and literally had the time of my life at that time. It was just fun to everything about it, the smells, the sounds, how fast it was just neat. And we made a summer out of it, but towards the end of the summer I was losing a little bit of interest just because I think my hubby knew, like I said, we were just dating at the time, I wanted to give it a shot. I unfortunately got to be that person on top of the trailer that said, I can do it better than that, and I got that opportunity. He said, let's put a car together, and I said, of course, for who? And he said, for you. And after I picked myself up off the ground, I said, heck yes, let's do it. So we spent that winter putting it together, and 04 was my first race in Webster City, Iowa, and I think I spent more time turning circles around myself than I did going around the racetrack, but we really had a blast that first night. Very interesting, and got to learn how hard the sport really is. So that's where I got my start. Well, I guess you started that question out by asking me tell you a little bit about myself. So that's how I got started racing. But a little bit more about myself. I mean, I think the drive to try to become good at this sport has always kind of been instilled in me. I grew up a four-sport athlete. I'm the only girl of 3 older brothers, so I was a bit of a tomboy, and I had to always hold my own growing up. And like I said, I was a four-sport athlete in high school, and I went on and ran Division I track and field. I was a heptathlete. So I did 7 events every time I competed. It was a pretty good challenge. And then when I was going through chiropractic school, I became a Golden Gloves boxer. Actually became a champion a couple different years. I think I ended up with a losing record, but I sure worked hard at it, and I had to fight a lot of girls outside my weight class. So it was a lot of fun, but that's pretty much, I think, why my husband wanted to get me in a race car, so he didn't have to watch me punch and get punched. But anyway, it's just been great learning. I think, like I said, I came from an athletic background, and I've always enjoyed a challenge. But today I'm a chiropractor first and foremost. I'm a mother of an awesome 3-year-old named Jackson. And then, like I said, I own my own chiropractic practice, and I also ref college women's basketball in the winter, so kind of ref all over the country. And that's a lot of fun too, but it takes up a lot of time. But racing is really truly my passion, and it's been awesome. I'm the luckiest woman that ever lived, getting it to be part of my life and get to live and breathe it and learn every time I step in that race car. So that's a bit more about me, and we just keep it going, trying to get some more seat time every single night we're out and get a little better.
And that's what it's about. And again, it's an honor to have you here tonight for this interview. Jill, May 15th, you were at Delaware International Speedway, my local track. I was unable to make the show. I wish I could have, but things happen. I understand it was a rough night out there for you.
Now that's interesting. Yes, it was a very, a very rough evening. We had just recently purchased the rocket car, and I think that was only the second night out in it, and had a lot of stuff wrong with it that weekend. And, sometimes when we've bought a couple new cars and had them completely done when we've gotten them, so they were just ready to go, minus putting the engine in. And we got this rocket probably about 90% done, so it's just basically just my husband and I doing the work at home. So we tried to get it, done the best we could before we left for that trip, but it wasn't quite all ready to go, and so we were missing a lot of traction, and so we didn't go out and time trial all that well, but didn't have a lot of cars at Delaware that night, so we made the show on a provisional, and I think we were only about a couple laps in, and we kept blowing out tires, and I'd blown out a tire, and I think I remember Clint Smith blowing out a tire, and he was just entering the track, so I had to wait another lap because we were under green. Came back out there and maybe made one lap and was trying to catch the back of the field there, and caution came out, and for someone on the front stretch that had blown out their tire, and I guess he thought that everybody had made it by him, and he decided to do a U-turn on the track. Now he says he was trying to get to the infield. Either way, he turned straight left, and here I came. So pretty much demolished the side of my race car, second night in it. Rear end's pretty much laying on the track, and I just can't believe that it happened. So we had a lot of work the next night. I know we were traveling on to the next race, so it was a long day that next day. But it's racing. We have a lot of nights like that. I wish we wouldn't stack too many of them up together, but you have those nights, and they're not fun. But I think it was really an accident, and those things happen.
And those things definitely happen here in the sim world as well, and who hasn't had a rough night of racing? That all comes with the challenge of racing and pushing these cars to the limit, wouldn't you think?
You're definitely right about that. I mean, I think if we, I think we're all a little crazy for doing what we do. Even the guys that have a ton of success, seems like there's a lot more, especially for me right now, we have a lot more rough nights than we have good nights. And our good nights, probably is at a different standard than, say, anyone who's won a million races. But we have our moments of goodness are so good. I think we can we let go of those rough moments. But you just got to keep at it. If it's something you love to do, and you can see some progress of getting better, you got to take the good with the bad. And even sometimes when there's a lot more bad than good, but like I said, the good times in racing are so good. You kind of can put those bad times behind you and keep on moving along and trying to do what it takes to get better.
Yeah, Jill, a lot of our drivers love racing in the dirt. Some of them race on the real track. Others, for various reasons, are unable to race on the real track. So here at TeamDTRO, we open up the doors to allow them to race online. We keep it as realistic as possible, running series races and championships like the one we have August 22nd at Eldora Speedway. Jill, what do you think about TeamDTRO putting on these shows for drivers, and have you ever run at Eldora Speedway?
Well, I'm so glad you guys found me on Facebook. I really didn't know this stuff existed. I unfortunately am probably too busy for my own good, trying to run a practice and a chiropractic practice, and then try to get out of town. I've got a 3-year-old, and obviously you've got to spend time with your family, ref and basketball. That it sometimes gets a little bit overwhelming. So I don't have a lot of fun time to kind of get on the internet and see all the things that exist out there. But I think the racing games are amazing. We bought a racing game a few years ago, and I felt like if I would spend the time every now and again to get on that game, it felt like it did kind of hone your skills a little bit. So I wish I had a lot more time on my hands, because I would definitely get on your little deal and play that as much as I can, because I do think it helps. It's I think what it is even though we can make it really realistic, there's nothing harder than racing a race car out there in the real stuff. I've done every sport there is, and this is the hardest thing I've ever done, and there's so many variables and aspects to it, more than anyone can even imagine. I mean, as far as I tell people, you're going down the straightaway going, 120 miles an hour, mud over the face, you can barely get a tear off, and you're having to adjust the brake because, you need to either tighten up or loosen your car going into the next corner, and, it's your foot slips off the gas pedal, your foot slips off the brake pedal. There's so many things, and it's really neat. But I do think if you have raced and you do race, I think actually playing those games can get you a lot better. So I need to start finding the time to be able to do it. But I think it's great that you guys are able to do it. And the other part of that is, yes, I have raced at Eldora. Unfortunately, I've not made the show yet at the Dream or the World. So you don't get a ton of laps there. So you don't get really very much practice time other than keep showing up and doing it again. So hard race to make because of the cars they get, but I've seen some people make it that you would have never dreamt could make it, and I've also seen people that should have always made it not make it. So, that could be a reality. I really look forward to making it. I love Eldora. The show they put on is just amazing. It's a good racetrack, good job, and Tony Stewart always does a good job with all that, and I'm glad he's giving us the opportunity to come to such a cool race. So